Welcome back to episode 398 of the Bad Taste Video Podcast. I'm Mike. I'm here with Grizz, and we got a special guest, Mr. E.K. Wimmer of the Laser Graves podcast. Some may call him Mr. Full Moon himself. He will never say that, but it's okay. Grizz is not in his current studio, the remote. What would we call your studio? What is your studio called, Grizz?
My home studio?
Yeah. What's the name of your studio?
Oh man, Long Bong Ranch.
Long Bong Ranch studio. All right, I'm of course at the Double Cross studio over here. And Grizz, EK. What do you have a name for yours?
Yeah, I'm at the Full Moon main office.
The Full Moon Saloon.
The Full Moon Saloon. Look at that hat. Oh my God.
Awesome,
but before
This came from our brother from a Southern mother, Chase. He sent this to me a while ago.
Brother is you are official CEO of Full Moon in that hat. That's it.
He looks like an official ambassador, so maybe we won't get a copyright strike on this. But,
like a promoter of some kind.
Yeah.
But before we get any more into this, let's hit that intro. I gotta say, man, that fucking Puppet Master theme is awesome.
Yeah,
it's really good. Did his bro do that?
That's Richard Band.
Richard Band. I don't know. I'm like tongue tied with this shit. Richard Band did a lot of good shit. Did he also do Tourist Trap? Is that Richard?
Reanimator, right?
Reanimator, From Beyond. He did all that.
Reanimator,
Damn.
I think, is his creme de la creme. I mean, that's
I would say so.
You know how
force right there.
You know how the I don't know if it's the Band family or it's just Charles Band. They had that fucking castle in Italy. You know that whole thing?
Charles, yeah.
Did he buy that, or was that like a family thing? No, that was just his.
Charles bought it because that's where they did like Castle Freak and all that kind of stuff.
That shit is fucking hilarious that he owned that.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a legit castle. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, for real.
The 90s it was a wild time, right? Would you say Full Moon peaked in the early 90s? Would you say that was like the
definitely
the pinnacle of Full Moon entertainment?
Yeah, for sure. I would say when they were with Paramount getting distributed, that was kind of 89 with Puppet Master up until about 95, 96. That's kind of the golden era, and then after that it's a little dicey, but that's when they put out all the main things that everybody would know from Full Moon was that early 90s era.
It's
is
funny.
It just me, or does it feel like it's the Goosebumps of like legit horror movies?
Yeah.
Like
Richard Band's theme. Yeah,
it kind of like it tiptoes. I feel like most Full Moon movies you could probably watch with some kids, and it ain't gonna be too like graphic form or anything like that. To the most
Some of
part,
them. This
depends.
There's a lot of nudity in the Full Moon movies when you really think about it.
Weak ass kids running around, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, because we were talking about this before, where people used to talk shit about Full Moon and all that stuff, and like in retrospect, there's no reason for it. And thinking about it now, of course, like you're watching this movie, or we watched this movie for this episode, I'm thinking to myself, I like pretty much grew up on full moon movies.
Yeah.
Like you said, like 89 to 96, that was like when I was.
Is that not exactly what I was saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly proves my point.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that between that time period is when we would be like hardcore renting videotapes. That's when still like VHS was still like the common, release type or whatever. We didn't quite get to the DVDs yet, or at least you didn't have money for a DVD player. So you were able to rent all these full moon fucking like random ass movies. And like you said, the whole Goosebumps thing, they were so varied. This one was Puppet Master, and then you watched another one and it was like Creeps, and then you watched a different one and it was like Castle Freak. They all had, it was like a comic book series, almost like a Monster of the Week,
it had that comic thing to it almost too. Like even like the artwork for all of them, it wasn't like, I don't want to say kid friendly, but it almost was like made to draw the appeal of a younger horror audience compared to like your average hardcore, like Friday the 13th fan or something like that. I just feel like these were definitely not meant to, but just picked up on by like a younger generation, just based on the way they were produced, the way the artwork is, the subject matter being like puppets, and like even the way Castle Freak, the cover of that movie looks like it could be a fucking Goosebumps movie, dude. Well,
EK, you would have probably been like, when I was renting this stuff, like when I say I was in maybe like elementary school into middle school, you're old enough where you would have been like upper high school into college at that time. What was the general consensus like from people your age? Were full moon movies cool? Was it like lame? Was it seen as like a joke, or was it kind of just like, oh, it's like a campy distributor, and like, oh, it's always a good time when you watch that shit?
Well, when Full Moon first came out by '89 with Puppet Master, I was still a kid. That was kind of the end of elementary for me. So my peak period for Full Moon was junior high into high school, like early couple first years of high school. And then by the end of high school into college, that's when they got into the later stuff, which is a lot more shot on video and things like that. And so Full Moon's whole entire branding sort of shifted in the tone and the style. But when they first started, that first batch of like 30 movies that you think of, Subspecies and Trancers and all those Puppet Masters, all those ones were kind of quintessential Full Moon. And those were seen as, legit video store rentals in the horror section. Everybody loved them. And the thing, I had never really done the Goosebumps analogy before until Grizz, mentioned it. Now, the more I think about it, it's because Full Moon is self-contained. It's like its own universe. And like
has a lot to do with it, I think. Yeah.
Like Goosebumps, it has a tone that's consistent, and they have in-house kind of crew that works from film to film. So you have so many directors and so many composers that keep doing these films. And so there's this, it's kind of like a small group of people making each installment like you would a series. So these feel like installments in a giant TV series, but actually, they're Full Moon films. And I think that that's what made the first 25 to 30 films so special, is that they do feel like their own TV show, but
unintentional like continuity, I think, like is definitely
totally.
part of it,
Like, but we loved them, like Bad Channels, all those cool films were awesome. What also really stood out was the Video Zone at the end of the films. They would do these making of featurettes, and that's what, when I was growing up, getting into film, and my best friend and I would go to the video store, we'd get his mom to rent us a couple Full Moon tapes, and then we would watch the movie and get most excited about, after the movie, watching the Video Zone featurette, which would show things like how they did the stop motion animation and how they did the set designs. And that was my real first glimpse into what it meant to make a movie. And that's why I got all obsessed with stop motion animation and stuff early on, because I was like, damn, this is the coolest thing ever. And that was kind of unique to Full Moon at the time for video store rentals.
Full Moon is almost, I feel like, a product of Fangoria. And I mean that by the way that Fangoria tapped into the horror fandom and started showing them what you were just talking about, this behind the scenes stuff, these little tidbits of knowledge, the filmmaking ideas and stuff like that. Whereas like Full Moon took what Fangoria was doing on page and then was like the first production company to be almost fully transparent in their filmmaking and show those, things behind the footage that you weren't getting with any other, like, you didn't see that. Even with like the lower budget stuff, you didn't see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
once in a great while, you'd see a small reel or something, but never to the effect that Full Moon did. So I feel like it just kind of just harks back to that, like, it even feels like comic booky, like you said. So it has that like magazine type like quality to it, where there's just continuation of continuity that we were just talking about that feel like it belongs in that world.
Yeah. The only other distributor that I can think of that consistently did shit like that would probably be like Tempe Video and like the Video Outlaw stuff, like the Killer Bee shit. They would have stuff sometimes like before or after the movies. Definitely not to the extent of Full Moon. And I think that's because they realized that the making of the film is a product in itself too, that you could sell that as something also that fills up time on a tape, that fills up a magazine, that fills up, whatever the fuck you're doing. And at that time, there's no YouTube. There's no, you could see behind the scenes stuff on if you had a Laserdisc player. But I only knew one person that had that growing up, and his family was for sure not going to be renting us a Laserdisc of something like, that was off limits. So
the podcast of our youth is the lunch table in the cafeteria,
Yeah,
so like when you had the opportunity, if you were one of the people to see one of those movies, you get the behind the scenes footage or something like that, and you were the only one, or a couple of your friends were the only one that's seen that stuff. Now you're able to fucking, throw it back at the table, talk about your horror movies, but now you're able to be like, well, this is how they fucking made this, and this is why they did this and that. And it just kind of like deepens the fandom even more when you're able to start making those connections and having those like conversations with your friends about horror.
The three of us are old enough to be a part of this group, and it sucks that kids nowadays won't have this opportunity, but there was nothing like how, like back then, you couldn't just go on the internet and say, Puppet Master, and go and you can watch it on Tubi. There's 3 different versions, or watch clips on YouTube, or go, see somebody's Instagram like ours where we have clips playing. You would literally be like, yo, dude, I saw in this magazine this movie called fucking Puppet Master. And then you would talk to somebody would totally be bullshitting you, saying that they saw it and it was this and that.
My cousin has it, and he said,
and then you had to try to find this movie either at the rental place or somewhere, and then you had to have that experience of watching it on your own, and then telling others about it, maybe watching it with a friend or a relative or whatnot. It's just so accessible now that you're missing that whole aspect of movie watching. And I feel like that's what kind of gives these Full Moon movies a little bit of like that extra at that time, that when you found, Puppet Master, or you found Subspecies, or you found Castle Freak or whatever, like you actually got your money's worth when you watch these movies. Like, they may not be the best thing that you ever saw, but at least they weren't boring. You know what I mean? And there was always extras. There was like the behind the scenes stuff, or like for Grizz, there was nudity in them usually, or there was some sort of gore. There was some sort of creature, a monster or something, it wasn't like when you would go and you would rent a movie that you thought was like a slasher, and really it's like an Italian giallo movie that's boring as hell, and it's more of a crime mystery than it is a horror film.
Lots
and
of
you're
opera
like,
music.
you're like, fuck, now I wasted my rental on this, and I have it for 5 days, and I gotta wait till next weekend to get something else. Like, the Full Moon stuff was generally redeemable in some sort of way.
It's like, how did I get fooled by a name by like a bird with the crystal plumage? God damn it. I thought this was going to be good.
well, and also by the time like we moved on from watching like, the hardcore Full Moon shit, like when we started really getting into more shot on video and stuff, you got to that age where you were able to find more obscure things, like their quality started to decrease. So we weren't like burdened with like wasting the rental on like fucking Puppet Master 5 or whatever. You already moved on. You were already watching Fulci movies and all that stuff. But so I feel like they were good for the time being. They served a purpose at a very specific time and place.
Oh, 100%. You were just saying how you got rid of a lot of the counter like companies that Full Moon did, and one of those, like you were saying, was like a full kids movie thing, right? Like they had a full kids production line.
Yeah, they had several. They had Moonbeam and they had Pulse Pounders and all those, and they're fun. And I was
now, is that
collecting
even
them.
more goosebumpsy? Like, is that?
Oh
even
yeah,
like...
yeah. That's like little kid versions, and that's not even spooky stuff necessarily. That's more like sci-fi and people shrinking and growing. And I mean, it's really fun stuff. And I was collecting that because I was trying to, in my craze and
determination.
Yeah, in my determination, I realized, we were collecting VHS and we were all connecting over that years ago. And I wasn't seeing a lot of people post about Full Moon's full catalog. It was always, the main ones, which would be Puppet Master and Subspecies and all that. Or if they were doing the later ones, it was going to be some of the Bookwalter stuff like Skinned Alive and things like that. But nobody was, or Ozone, but they weren't posting that they had a full collection. I was like, well, how many of these damn things even came out? And that's when I just started kind of getting into it. And where it really turned problematic for me, I had to get under control, is I had a handful of VHS already in my collection from Full Moon, kind of some of the main titles that I liked. But I'd say around 2018, maybe, I bought out this dude who used to run a video store in Oregon, and he had a bunch of stuff. So I bought everything he had, and he had an entire box of Full Moon tapes. And I was like, holy shit, man, there was 40 of them in there. So I had such a head start at that point. I'm like, well, now I have to see it through. Yeah. And so for the next, I mean, I don't know how many years.
That's a blessing and a curse, is what that really is.
I really pursued trying to complete the Full Moon distro on VHS for the next probably 5-6 years. And then
you did it.
Once I got to the point, I did it. Yeah. And then once I got to it, I was like, okay, well, that was fun. But what I want to keep long-term that I'll watch is really the main catalog, not all the extra things on the side. But it was fun. It was quite a journey to go down. And I think as VHS collectors, we all do that from time to time.
It's one of those things, like, I don't know if it happens with you, but like for me, when I was starting to do that kind of thing, I feel like I got a handle on this. I'm almost there. And then out of fucking nowhere, I would see 3 or 4 fucking movies I had never seen before in that fucking catalog. Things I never heard of. I never even fucking seen a picture of them. And all of a sudden I'm seeing a bunch of them. And I'm like, how the fuck does, like, it's like this thing that is almost a never ending quest because it's so hard to find a complete list. Like that's the hardest
when there
part
isn't one. Yeah. The hardest part about Full Moon was people would think because it's such a famous distribution company, there must have been a record locked tight on the internet, and there wasn't. There was partial master lists on Full Moon, partial master lists on Wikipedia at the time that I was collecting, and I actually wrote Full Moon and said, do you guys have a master list of everything you put on VHS? And they were like, no. So it was a ton of research, and that's what I do in my personal life. I'm a a researcher, so I was like, all right, well then game on. I'm going to figure it out. And I was just digging in and following every clue I could to build my own master list. And I will remember this one moment that was a bit petty of me, and it's not my finest moment, but I remember a dude, I was posting my collection. It was almost complete. And some other collector reached out and he was like, yo, will you send me your master list? Because I want to do that too. And I was like, fuck off. This took me you do your own research, bud. This took me a long time to get
How
here.
much is it worth to you? Is what the question is. What does it cost?
Right.
Yeah, it's like selling the Mortal Kombat codes at the arcade when we were kids.
All right, before we get into Puppet Master, I wanna go through a couple of these Full Moon movies, and I want to hear what you guys think, yay or nay. All right, good or bad, yes or no. All right. Okay. I have no idea what that movie Meridian Kiss of the Beast is. EK, that sounds like something you may have watched. That's like an OG
it's
Full Moon.
A bit of an erotic horror, and it's got Sherilyn Fenn. The only reason why I watched it and I liked it is because it's got Audrey from Twin Peaks. So I was like, okay, well, I got to watch this.
All right. Doll Man. Yay or nay?
No, Doll Man's fun, man. Doll Man's it's a goofy franchise, but it's a lot of fun.
Trancers 2.
Well, I mean, the whole Trancers franchise that started. Trancers 1 started with Empire, which we haven't even talked about, too much. But I think there's 6 or 7 of them total.
Yeah,
they're good. Yeah. They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
What about Demonic Toys? Demonic Toys fans?
I could watch a Demonic Toys. The first one. It's like with all of these though, they get so. It's like Demonic Toys versus Doll Man, and then it just keeps going into these fucking different things where it gets convoluted.
All right, this one goes specifically for EK. Mandroid. Yes or no?
Mandroid's fun.
See?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's so cheesy, but it's really, when they dip into the sci-fi stuff, the effects were hilarious. And that's part of Full Moon. Even as a kid, nobody took it that serious. We just were entertained. It was fun. And I think somewhere along the way, it became cool to be like, Full Moon's cheesy. And we're like, well, duh. That was the whole point. It was just fun to watch. And when you get to films like Mandroid, yeah, of course, like, look at the title. What did you expect?
All right. It sounds like a cyberistic dildo. It's like crazy
what about Robot Wars? That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that goes back to the Empire days too with Robot Jocks. So that's kind of, it's kind of a continuation of that whole franchise, and it is pretty fun. It's the earlier version of, what was that one where they're all in the big machines,
like Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
All right, two more. Head of the Family. Are you a fan?
Oh yeah,
you guys. Yeah, that's a weird.
I don't think
one.
I've ever seen this one. Is that
no,
Head of the Family?
You would like
it's a fun one. Yeah,
Chris would definitely like Head of the Family, and the Creeps. Remember the Creeps with the little monsters?
I like the Creeps. I like little monster movies.
Cool. So I remember renting the Creeps when that first came out, thinking it was going to be way better than it was. And I think my mom got mad because there was like nudity in it and all that. She's like, what the fuck? All right. But we are not talking about the Creeps. We're not talking about Head of the Family. We're not talking about Subspecies, Blood Dolls, The Killer Eye, nor Castle Freak. We are talking about Puppet Master, the one that started it all. Grizz, do you want to give a little synopsis of the first Puppet Master?
Puppets that have been not brought back to life, have been given life through an Egyptian incantation, are causing havoc through specialty weaponized choices that they've all been given, I guess.
They were all pretty much created with a certain ability, and they use that ability to maim and kill others. They're not quite bad. They're not quite good. You kind of find out throughout the movie that they're kind of just offing people that are pieces of shit. So, that's
the thing too. I question whether or not their motives are correct in this movie, because I feel like they pretty much are. But this movie also takes a pretty big fucking swing at trying to create this vast, complex story of this magicians who have these other magicians that are coming together, and it's a fucking lot, dude. Let me tell you, it's a real swing when it comes to that side of this thing. Yeah.
So this dude Neil Gallagher, he's kind of like a weird dude, and he's getting all these people that have psychic abilities together to try to do some sort of quote unquote research, which I guess was him trying to figure out where Toulon hid his secret. Right? Is that what he was really trying to he's trying to use psychics to locate the location of all this shit. And he is successful. He at least narrows it down to this hotel. He doesn't know quite where in the hotel, but he's got an idea. And, he's got this whole plan to bring these people back together, to do this other shit so he could live forever, basically. I kind of think it's funny that Toulon is a very minor character in this movie, where down the line he becomes pretty much like the Obi-Wan.
That's the old guy in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He's I even said, I want there to be a movie just about that fucking guy. Like that guy
and there is
more interesting.
Yeah, and he changes actors, and part 2 is about the resurrection of him. So that's they bring it right away, and it's because that's where the story is. It is more interesting,
Yeah. The third one to me is probably my favorite. That's a prequel that shows like the Nazi Germany thing, and you get a background of all of the puppets, and that's where you truly see that they are like good people. That they were fighting the Nazis. They were trying to help like the Jews like make it, through whatever, and they were punished for it. And Toulon basically, like transferred their essence into these dolls, these marionettes. But in the first one, it's kind of ambiguous, and it's one of those movies that as a kid, if you didn't really understand what was going on, this would be pretty fucking scary. You have these dolls that range, like these dolls range in size between maybe a foot to a foot and a half, 2 feet tall. That some of them are pretty big looking, and they're going on a rampage, killing these people that you kind of got to know throughout the first half of the film, and you don't quite. None of them really do anything that deserves the fate that that becomes them. But they aren't exactly the best of people. But this movie's pretty interesting because it's like we've said before, it's actually like a real film. They were really fucking trying to knock it out of the park with this one. Has a very different style, a very different visual look to, maybe things like Castle Freak and shit also have a similar professional look or whatever, but they were really trying to make a statement with this one, I feel like, right? And overall, I think they accomplished pretty much the prototype of what you would expect as a full moon movie, right? Like a weird plot with some weird characters, with some weird monsters, a little bit of gore, a little bit of goo, and a kind of a EC Comics Tales from the Crypt-esque ending. Right? That's like another kind of thing with full moon movies, that they always have a semi-ambiguous, semi-open ending because they loved making sequels. But Puppet Master is the father of them all, I feel like.
So for me, I was shown this movie super young, and it does not click for a young person, in my opinion. No. Yeah, the puppets can be scary, and that is working on that level, but this story just is not appealing to a very young horror fan. It was very hard for me to get past the whole magician build-up story to where the puppets actually start wreaking havoc for me to actually get interested in it. And even watching it back now, I kind of had a little bit of that where I'm just like, all right, here's these magicians. They're eating dinner. They're bitching at each other. She's horny because she's drunk now. This crazy witch. It just seemed like all these just build and build and build. Where for me, I wish there was just been a more puppet focused action in this movie throughout all of it, compared to just being I don't know. I just don't get into the whole magician part of it.
Yeah, well, that's what you get in the later movies. It becomes more focused on the puppets, just like Child's Play, where the first one, it's kind of split between the human characters and Chucky, where as the movies go on, it becomes more focused on Chucky.
And keep in mind, there's a reason for that. Why I'd say 3 is my favorite also. And there's a reason, is because Puppet Master was the first outing. Empire had gone bankrupt. Charles Band is like, oh, well, let's just start fresh then with a brand new production.
That was his previous.
Company.
Okay, I didn't know.
Empire. Empire was Charles Band's previous one, and they went under. And so, Empire is the one, like we said, that did Reanimator and Dolls and From Beyond and all that cool Troll. And so when they went under in the late 80s and he starts back up, keep in mind that Puppet Master was a big swing because this is the first outing, and they didn't go to a theatrical release. This idea was, we're going to do direct to video and maybe be able to cut some costs and put more money into this production company. And so I think what you end up getting is testing the water with Puppet Master. This is Full Moon trying out and seeing what's the audience going to respond like. And so they didn't have the money and the budget and the talent yet to put into a lot of stop motion for these creatures. So that's why you have people running around with the camera point of view to give the implication that it's the doll's perspective. But by the time you get to part 3, Puppet Master is a well-known franchise at this point in the video rental stores, and now they can bring in real talent. They could put more money into the special effects, and that's why it gets more entertaining. But
so they really do get better as they go on.
Yeah, early on though, they had to really kind of build more story because they couldn't really afford a lot of those, the production of it. Because this was their first outing, and it just happened to be a swing and a home run, and that's what opened the floodgates for like, oh, okay, well, let's get going then. And now everybody wants to be involved, and we're going to start bringing people in. So I'm a little forgiving of part 1's pacing being so slow because it was ambitious at the time, I would say.
I get that 100%.
Yeah.
I think a big part of their success too is it comes down to design on this film. I don't think Puppet Master is successful unless these puppets are really well done. And I think these ones are. They're all very unique. They all have some kind of weird, just uncanny type of quality to them that makes them, scary in their own way. I think if that fails in this movie, the whole movie fucking fails terribly. And I think that's what really, and it gets better because with my favorite puppet that I can remember, there's one with multiple. There's a cowboy with multiple arms.
That's my favorite. Six shooter.
That's my favorite. That fucking puppet rules, dude.
That's part 3.
Yeah, that's where these things really, come into their own.
And there would be no way of doing that in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, imagine them trying to do 6 shooter in this first one.
Yeah, and I will say though that even though there's not a lot of puppets in part 1. The one thing they did well, in addition to good designs for the few puppets they have, they look cool. They're very distinctive. They don't all feel like the same. They have distinctive personalities and characteristics. But the brief shots we do get of stop motion looks really damn good, even this many years later. Like, this was done in '89, and it was done on hardly any budget. And even though a shot of Blade running across the hall only takes up 3 seconds, it looks really good.
I love seeing them fight with people too, because unlike Child's Play, these things actually the people will just be like, get the fuck out of here, and throw them across the room or throw them into the wall.
I love that.
Where it's always in Child's Play, it would be like, oh fuck, Chucky's on me, he's all of a sudden he's got enough strength and weight to keep a grown man on the ground. You know what I mean? And this
dude, fucking doll, kick the shit out of that. Dude,
there's what's his name, Pinhead, in this one, the guy that's the muscle one, when he's choking the woman, when they're attacking these psychics that are bad or whatnot. It's funny because he keeps going to attack her and she's able to defend herself because it's a 5-pound fucking doll, it's not something that's able to really keep you pinned in the corner. We actually have we have a little bit of an example of that here. And look, they use real hands too with him once in a while.
I was gonna say, the real hands when he's choking her fucking gets me every time, dude.
Yeah. Those are but she's able to defend herself from this thing because it's not a fucking human. It's not a full grown person. Yeah, you could throw that motherfucker across the room multiple times. Now, it's a problem when this thing also is armed, it has a knife or a hook. Such as Blade, right? Blade? Is that his name in this one? Blade?
Yeah. Let's talk about something here quick.
Yeah? You want to talk about this motherfucker?
Yeah. I want to talk about something quick.
All right.
One of the weirdest things in this fucking movie, something that I can't really place my head as to why this exists or what the fuck it is. All these dolls, I get their personalities. I get their weapons of choice, What the fuck is the leech puking woman about? Where does this come from? What is this fucking this is the most confusing fucking puppet of all time.
These are some dangerous ass fucking leeches too.
Imagine if Nile was playing in the background of this shot and they were like, Egyptian magic, baby. Egyptian magic.
Yeah. How come it's not like a scarab or something? Yeah, it's not like scarabs or anything. It's fucking leeches. And the thing's like, bleh, bleh, like puking up a fucking raisinette.
So gross.
All right.
That's a great Nicolas Cage face right there too. It's a really good shot.
Yeah, that's a very memeable screen cap right there. The leech woman is a very odd choice when it comes to killer doll, right?
Yeah, but she creeped me out though, because it's like she can just sneak up on you and place it there versus the other ones have to really, the other ones are more aggressive and physical. She can just kind of drop it. I remember seeing this as a little kid and thinking like, the leeches creep me out. You know, I don't want to leech on me. That looks horrible. Still, yeah. Dude.
I like as like time goes on, like the fucking the puppets get more and more like non-human-esque. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's like the one that's like half of a tank and all that shit. Like all these different, like one's spitting flames and all that stuff. Like it's really,
Torch, man. Torch in part 2 is awesome.
Yeah, see, like they get better, Grizz, as it goes on. I think you have to start looking at some of these because they do.
I definitely remember seeing part 3 because I remember the fucking 6-shooter die. He like stands out in my memory from like renting tapes back in the day. So that's probably the one that I rented the most.
It's like an homage to Harryhausen too, with Medusa, where you've got all the arms moving simultaneously. It reminds me of Clash of the Titans with Medusa's snake hair. You know, it's one thing to do stop motion on a single puppet moving its arms up and down. It's another to have 6 arms firing guns at one time. Like that's impressive. It's really cool looking.
Grizz, really, I will say good. You should just skip 2, do 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
I think Grizz, I think it gets like pretty crazy with the puppets and the stop motion, like with 4 and 5. When you start like introducing like that, what the fuck is the other guy's name? Like the main bad dude. He's like a giant.
Yeah, and I would say 3 and 4 for sure. 5's kind of a continuation of 4. It's a lot of, it's more of the same. But if you were only to zero in on giving a chance to a couple more, I would say 3 for sure. Yeah, 3 and 4 were cool.
3 and 4. Yeah, if you said you saw 3, so watch 4. You'll have a laugh, man.
I'll probably watch 3 again just to refresh myself. Like I said, I haven't watched a Puppet Master movie in damn near fucking 20 years. So.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they do a pretty good job in this one and keeping it ambiguous if these puppets are good or bad?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it seems like whoever controls them. Whoever controls them gets to decide if they're good or bad. And the first 2 films, they are pretty bad. It's not until the third that they start to become kind of heroes, really.
Anti-heroes.
Yeah, but in this one, they turn on the dude. Like they turn on, like, so were they ever truly like were they like, oh shit, this guy's actually an asshole? Was it one of those things? Like where they weren't exposed to anybody else and they didn't realize it?
Maybe like they didn't, they're with this dude until they realize that his intentions are that he's tricked people and that now his intentions are not what they thought they were. Like they're almost like a conduit of good. That if you have good intentions, they're there to like be a force for you. But once you fucking cross them or realize that like your intentions are now soured, then you're fucking open prey kind of a thing. I like that concept a lot.
What did you think about the friend Neil or whatever actually not being dead? He's kind of like was he supposed to be embalmed? Is that what that was supposed to be?
And I would say one of the actual scary scenes of this movie, especially as a kid, but I still think it looks creepy, is the second time he appears when he's supposed to be dead and he's sitting in the fortune teller's room, just in her chair, and she turns around. Dude, that's an actual creepy shot. It's really well done. Super and I was like, man, this is really unsettling looking. It's just because he's not doing anything. There's no emotion coming from him. He's this corpse, but he's sitting there in a very relaxed pose. So you don't know what to make of it. And that was a smart shot.
One of my favorite shots from the movie, I think, would be the bed shot though. When the guy the dreamer who has all these dream visions that are usually things to come, he basically dreams that all of his contemporaries are now dead, which they are. But all of their heads are now severed and in his bed. Yeah. And just like this whole thing is just so campy and wonderful. It's just like, I love this aspect of this movie.
He keeps having this like reoccurring dream too. Stop! Yes, he like wakes up from the dream and it's like an Inception moment. It's the dream within the dream.
What the?
He actually like just pissed his pants.
What's happening, Alex?
What's happening, Alex? I fucking love that part, dude. That's so good.
That's a very like Stuart Gordon type shot too.
Yeah,
very
it's
animator.
Really good.
Well, they do a lot of like Nightmare on Elm Street-esque shit too. Like in the beginning when he has that like dream that the leeches are on him and he's just laying there and all of a sudden like his shirt starts fucking bleeding and he thinks that there's something right and there's nothing there. It's like a very.
Can we talk about that dude's haircut for a minute?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck is going on with that blowout, dude?
Very specific time and place, man. He definitely got like that at Supercuts.
If he had rings under his eyes and bad teeth, he'd look like H.R. Giger a little bit. He's kind of
yeah, maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Maybe he puts off like an Olaf Ittenbach vibe, right? Like
a little bit as well. It's dude, but that fucking hair. I think that's the hardest part about watching the movie is not being pissed off at that dude's haircut the entire fucking time that I'm watching it.
Pretty magnificent. Would have been cool if Blade did a little Edward Scissorhands on him and reshaped his hair.
You know, it was kind of a missed opportunity. I feel like even with the uncut version, when the one woman who's like able to kind of see the history of things by touching them, when she gets killed by the drill dude underneath the bed, like, and you don't see like anything, I feel like that's a real missed opportunity. Right, like really they could have made this fucking gnarly, and I know that they end up, I think in The Littlest Reich later on, if I remember correctly, they do a similar type kill, but it's like far more like graphic, and you see far more. But like this one, I like the idea, and it's creepy as shit. But I feel like by not seeing the drill actually go into the woman's face, it kind of takes away from it. But you do get the stop motion. Look at this shit. Look how creepy that looks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the drill looks so good.
And she just kind of like tweaks out underneath there, and like you see her hand get all bloody and all that stuff.
I love a good leg kick though.
Well, and later on in the movie, when she's sitting around the dinner table, you see her mouth all ripped open from the drill. So you're like, you know, from a filmmaking perspective, you already did all that application to make her mouth look like it was drilled out. Why not shoot a shot real quick of, you know, of him drilling into her? I thought that would have looked really cool.
Oh, Alex. They're in the dining room.
There goes
pay attention to my hair. Look how it bounces.
Yeah, so they end up going into the dining room. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, she's blocked by the chat, but oh, there she is.
There she is.
There she is.
Nasty looking.
Like they do like the phantasm thing where when the ball, the sphere gets stuck in the guy's mouth, and it's like trying to blow out through the front. Like they kind of do one of those deals, but it's really just a missed opportunity. But I do like that puppet, and I like the idea that it has like the drill on the top.
Yeah,
of his
Tunneler.
Head.
Yeah,
is that the name? Tunneler? That's the one. I never knew the fucking name of that goddamn puppet.
And we do get some payoff for that drill, and we do see some of that in the end here. We get some of that fucking juicy drill action, which is awesome.
This guy's pretty creepy looking. Oh, he pops the head off our little pinhead
just
guy.
Toss it. You're just a doll.
Nah, I don't say that.
Tosses his ass.
Yeah, he sacks his shit him, whatever. Yeah, but this is towards the end of the film, but the tunneler like winds up and just shreds his fucking leg. Is it just me also? But there's like the scale of these puppets change throughout the movie, right? Like sometimes they're like pretty fucking big, sometimes they're like kind of small, sometimes they're even bigger than big. Like Pinhead obviously changes. Like he goes from being like the size of a child to being the size of like a Ken doll to being the size of like maybe like a hush puppy or whatever the fuck those things were called.
Then he has my arms at one point, which is wild as fuck.
Yeah, giant. But like the same thing with like the tunneler. Like he goes from being able to stand completely upright underneath a bed to like drilling into this dude's calf, like standing up straight. Like,
Yeah, but you know what I like about this scene that made me laugh, that shows it's still a very low budget film, is that he digs into the calf and you see like red flesh, come out. And then when he backs up, his little drill is totally clean. There's nothing on it. And then just a second later, when Blade cuts off the fingers, it's gushing out embalming fluid that's bright green. And it's funny because I'm like, wait, you got to make up your mind here.
Is it red or is it
green? Is he red? Is he like, it's like enchiladas, is it red or green?
Here you go, EK. I love the little thing that...
I love how he scoops him off, too, with his blade.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
That's pretty funny here. It's good dark humor there.
I
love the embalming fluid.
Yeah, there you
Take
go.
your hot dogs with you.
A little goo. From the person with experience in embalming, I will say that if he did go into the calf muscle, it is possible that there is nothing there at the moment.
Yeah.
Like he was drained and he didn't hit a vein or anything like that. But it's full moon, so I'm not going to give him that much of a, it ain't like CSI or none of that
Would it
shit.
still be fleshy colored? Like, would it still be like red muscle?
Yeah, like the guy just died. Like he's only been dead for a day, right? Don't they say he's only been dead for like he just died?
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Like it's like within a day or so. I think that they all end up at
all
the
these
hotel.
People could just drop everything and get there. I mean, that seems
It's
pretty.
the '80s, dude.
Pretty wild. Dude.
It's the '80s. Everybody
What's
understood.
going on?
Remember, they're magicians. They're wizards.
That is true. I forgot. Yeah. You can't
But
question
yeah,
anything.
the puppets do turn on this dude, and they take him out in that hotel elevator in a very gruesome way. The tunneler hits him in the neck also, which is pretty fucking crazy.
Really good shit. He gets like gangbanged by these puppets, dude. Like he gets it from all fucking sides.
I
It's
like it.
fucking
They all
wild.
get to show off their little special skill too. It's like the Avengers or something, where it's like,
It's a
Spider-Man's gonna shoot his web, and Cyclops is gonna shoot him with his lasers. It's like they're all gonna step up to the plate at the very end.
Teamwork
Even Leech
makes
Woman gets
the
in on it.
dream
She's all hacking up a leech too, just for fun. She's like, hey,
Dude, she like chokes him out with it. It's gnarly.
yeah,
as fuck.
it's so gross.
The dude
Look at that,
Neil's
it's-
wife is like the widow is having a nervous breakdown. She's like, just stop, please.
Claw hands holding the mouth open for the leech.
Yeah, like the other dude's
It's
fucking
so
him in
gross.
the ear. Like it's all just has a mental break. Dude, I love the ending of it where she has the dog. Like she reanimated the dog. It's got a happy ending.
It walks. Yeah.
I love
Right.
the dog in general. The dog's such a funny character, such a weird addition.
I agree. It is like a weird thing. It's a dog that the one psychic woman carries with her. It's stuffed, and she carries it like in this piece of luggage, but it's like in a display case almost. But
weird.
This woman uses the Toulon method to bring the dog back to life, and it is a happy ending with her living happily ever after in the hotel.
I do feel bad for that lady. She had no.
Her parents were murdered by
drugs?
this motherfucker because he needed the place. Pretty
God
fucked
damn,
up.
dude.
I love the way Big Hair, the way he ends too. After there's been death everywhere. There's corpses, body parts everywhere.
Yes.
And he's like, well, if ever you're on the East Coast, look me up, and then just leaves.
Holy
He still got a thing for this chick. He doesn't want to forget.
dude, do you know
He's
who
like, good luck with
Alex?
that.
Do you know who Alex is? Alex, the main dude, is John from American Graffiti. He's the bad guy. Not the bad guy, but like he's like the bad boy that has the fucking yellow hot rod. That's like friends with them, like the one that's like the troublemaker. Dude, wow. Now that I saw, damn, that's fucking crazy. He's in American History X also. McMahon.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that? Is that one of like
Isn't
the?
that- I think that's like the. Wait, is that
Is that one of the
him?
prisoners or some shit? I don't know.
Is that like the old dude that fucking like?
Nah, it can't be.
No, he wouldn't be old at that point.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. But dude, this movie, like we said, has a very like Tales from the Crypt-esque ending where everybody's dead except for our two, I guess, good guys. And the dog is now also reanimated. So like a weird fucking like
happy ending, dude.
Yeah, it's like a happy ending in like a weird twisted way. I really enjoy this. As our man, I always fucking forget, Stefan says in the chat here that I didn't really start enjoying full moon movies into my 30s. That's what he said, and I agree with that too. I feel like Puppet Master hits a little bit differently as you get older, especially when you realize like the beginning when the dude blows his fucking brains out just so he doesn't get like questioned by the Gestapo.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. These guys are like going.
Let it roll.
We got to show this. He's got his fucking revolver out. He pulls out the Roscoe, and instead of being taken prisoner or interrogated or whatever, he decides.
Is this
fuck
like a darkness moment?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
And I like
much.
that you could tell where they added the thing in the uncut version because you see the black lines on the side. Totally awesome. Definitely worth watching that version.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Give me your final thoughts on Puppet Master.
Puppet Master fucking is a solid full moon movie, dude. I mean,
We had him to the very end.
Yeah, we had him to the very end. Unfortunately, he froze on us. EK, why don't you give me your final thoughts on Puppet Master?
I would say the theme that Richard Band did is awesome. I think that for taking a big swing with a brand new production company, I don't think anybody could have predicted that it would have had the legs that it would go on to have. I think that's a little bit of a surprise. And I think that overall it's a fun start to Full Moon Pictures. It really sets the tone right away. I think Full Moon immediately becomes more campy and they lean into that. But I think that there are a lot of things here from day one that you know what you're in for when you watch Puppet Master. And it's a cool franchise for at least 4 or 5 of the films. It's really entertaining. So I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. It just reminds me of my childhood. After I watched this and I watched Video Zone, my best friend and I got his mom's camera and we got a little doll and we tried to do our own stop motion killer doll. That's what it's all about. That's the legacy of Full Moon for me isn't about, is this film good? Is this film bad? It's about how did it inspire up and coming filmmakers? And it was offering a way into behind the scenes of filmmaking that not a lot of other places were doing,
Yeah. Grizz, now that you're back from the rewind zone, what are your final thoughts on Puppet Master? Oh no, we lost Grizz's audio. Grizz's audio's fucking gone. That's it. We made it. He's tossing his microphone. He fucking gave up. Grizz thought this movie was kind of okay, a little boring, slow. Doesn't have the kills that he necessarily wants, but it's all right because he said he's going to watch the 4th one to make up for it. I think with Grizz's microphone going out, I think that's probably where we're going to cut it this week. I want to thank EK for coming this week. Kind of on short notice. We just kind of said, hey, dude, we know that you have a fucking giant Full Moon collection, or did at least at one point. Would you like to come on and talk a little Puppet Master with us? And you said, of course. EK,
always.
Man, give us the rundown, plug everything. I know we got your new album out, right? We got to have you on every time you put out an album.
Yeah, right. That's the only reason why I put out albums is so I can be back on Bad Taste. Blood Relations, my project, just put out my 3rd record, Drain the Light, streaming everywhere. So check that out. And then podcast that I do with my wife, Mariah, Laser Graves. We have been slow to get back to it at the beginning of the year, but everything's in place now and we should be back with new episodes soon. So thanks guys. It's always fun, man. It's always a blast being on here. I never thought I'd see the day where Grizz would cover a full moon film on Bad Taste. So crazy things happen.
Well, like I said, we're running out of Polonia movies, so we got to start bringing you on for other things. We have to have the excuse to have you in here. Grizz, I would ask you where they could find you on the internet, but I'll have to say they could find Grizz at Kane_enabler, and you can find me at Bad Taste Video, and you can find everything we do at www.badtastevideo.com. We stream live every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@badtastevideo podcast. We release this in podcast form every Thursday morning also, but we prefer you go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like the videos. You can watch them all there, or just listen to them, but let them run. Helps us either way. Definitely go support EK and his wife at Laser Graves. They actually put a ton of effort into their show, far more than we do. They do research. They think about what they're going to say. They don't just show up and say, hey, dude, let's let her rip.
The only difference is you guys actually record episodes. We just talk about recording episodes.
It's because we have no choice. We're like, it's one of those things where, like, when you're on the roll, like, at least me with the not smoking cigarettes, like, the amount of time has been so much that I don't want to break the streak. We're just going to keep going. We're almost at episode 400. Hopefully we can make that a special one. We had some ideas. We're going to see what actually happens. But I want to thank everybody for coming in the chat. You guys have been great this week. Great as always. EK, as per usual. I want to thank you for coming on. We'll have you soon. We'll probably end up asking you to come for 400, but we'll say, we won't put you on the spot. All right, sick. But I want to thank everybody for coming. Yeah, EK brought some class to the show. That shows where we are. All right, thanks. I'm glad that our audience thinks so highly of us. I want to thank everybody for coming in the chat. I want to thank everybody for listening. We will see you next week with a surprise because, well, that's just how it is. And Grizz is unfortunately on a work trip, so he's not at home. So things are kind of weird. But we will see you next weekend at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel or something like that. Goodbye.
See ya.